There are a lot of iconic watches around, but few of these watches can compete with the history of the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso. Released originally in 1931, there have been a multitude of variations and models released since, and today I'm going to review my favorite Reverso ever, the Reverso Tribute Chronograph, both in steel and pink gold. Hi, I'm Craig, founder of Wrist Enthusiast. Recently, I had the chance to get my hands on the new JLC Reverso Tribute Chronographs in both pink gold and stainless steel. I have to say, these two releases might be my favorite releases of the past year, really from any brand. But before I get in depth, I just wanted to remind you that if you've been enjoying my reviews and videos and want to make sure you don't miss any, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for your support. Now let's get going. The Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso is an icon. First released in 1931, most of us already know the story of its origins. Created with the intention to withstand the rigors of polo, the aptly named Reverso's case could be flipped during a match to protect the dial and crystal from harm. On these earliest models, when the case was flipped, only a steel closed back would be visible. And while the monoface models, as they've come to be called, are still produced today and most accurate to the original models, Jaeger has expanded the lineup by creating duoface models. The duoface Reversos are quintessentially Reversos, but yet are not meant to withstand the rigors of polo. That's because instead of the stainless steel reverse side on these models, they instead have another dial with a second time zone and other complications. With the duoface, you might get a little bit more bang for your buck, as you can have two very different styles in one watch. That brings me to the Reverso Tribute Chronograph. Released at Watches and Wonders 2023, it might be my favorite release of the last year. And I've been eager to review the Tribute Chronograph for as long as it has existed. After seeing one in person for the first time last month during JLC's Reverso Stories exhibition in New York City, I made it a point to get my hands on both the gold and steel models for review. And I was definitely not disappointed. First, let me state that while the Reverso Tribute Chronograph may not technically be a duoface, because it only displays one time zone, the spirit of the duoface is definitely present. While time is displayed on both dials, it's displaying the same time zone set simultaneously through the crown. This doesn't bother me, as both dials cannot be more different, and more on that later. On both the stainless steel and pink gold models of the Tribute Chronograph, the main dial is a pretty standard affair. Playing into the heritage of the line, the sunray dials are understated and fit the Art Deco style of the case. Both models have applied indices and metal hands without any lume plots. On the stainless steel model, the sunray dial is a light blue. To me, this along with the stainless steel case makes the watch look a little bit more modern. The hour markers are steel, and this side of the dial is very legible. The blue of the dial is also incredibly unique, not playing into any of the current fads such as turquoise dials and deep blue dials, like on the AP Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus. Instead, the blue is more muted and has hints of gray. On the pink gold model, JLC opted for a black sunray dial with gold applied indexes and hands. And while I like it very much, it seems a bit dressier to me. When you flip the case over, you are greeted by something completely different, a skeletonized dial with chronograph. As mentioned earlier, the time display is the same on both dials. There's a single movement in the watch, and both dials show the time running in the same direction. So essentially, on the skeletonized dial side, the hands are running backwards. This might be a feat more impressive than including two time zones in one movement. At least, I think so. The skeletonized dial is more than just an openwork dial. The watch's complication, a chronograph, is featured on this side of the dial. The chronograph on both the gold and steel models is unique, as is required by the rectangular shape of the case. The chronograph's second hand is centrally mounted with indication through a mid-case 60-second disc. After the chronograph reaches 30 minutes, it will jump back to 0. Pretty cool. When operating the chronograph functions, the pushers will be on the left side of the case, as opposed to the usual right side of the case. This is because the pushers are on the right side of the case when the time-only dial is displayed. This seems to indicate that Jaeger considers the time-only dial as the main dial, and they didn't want to separate the chronograph pushers from the crown, like on the original Tag Heuer Monaco. The skeleton dial on both the gold and steel models is stunning and truly a conversation starter. Even though the watch is just 11 millimeters thick, there are so many depths to the openwork dial. On the steel model, the watch's skeletonized dial is a bit less legible since the hour markers and hands are the same color as most of the movement. I don't really have a problem with this because if you want legibility, you can just flip over the dial and display the time-only dial. Chronograph's seconds and minutes hands are both blue, which gives the needed legibility when operating the chronograph. The skeletonized dial in the pink gold model is actually much more legible, as the hands and indexes are both pink gold. This contrasts with the steel movement and offers a lot of contrast. Like on the steel model, the chronograph hands are blue and the seconds and minutes discs are black, but with gold trim on the gold model. When wearing both models, I found myself showcasing the skeletonized dial most often, because to me, that's what makes this watch so interesting. Though, when I was in crowds or walking down a Manhattan street, I flipped the case over so as not to draw as much attention to myself or my wrist wear. At 29.9mm in diameter and 49.4mm lug to lug, it wasn't exactly small on my 6.7-inch wrist, especially since square and rectangle watches wear larger on your wrist. So you should really take note if you're thinking about purchasing. But with the amount of engineering and functionality you get in this watch, I understand why it has to be larger. I'm not sure how JLC would be able to size down this watch, include the chronograph, and still make the watch legible. The Tribute Chronograph is powered by a brand new movement, the in-house manufacturer Caliber 860. This movement is manually wound, has a power reserve of 52 hours, and beats at 4 Hz. With JLC often referred to as the watchmaker's watchmaker, the Reverso Tribute Chronograph is really the perfect distillation of Jaeger as a brand. The time-only dial, to me, represents the classic and understated side of the brand, while the skeletonized dial represents the brand's ability to create beautiful yet complicated watches, such as the duometer spherotourbillon and the Reverso quad triptych. You can pick up the stainless steel Reverso Tribute Chronograph for $25,000 and the pink gold model for $38,800. Well, I hope you liked my review of the Jaeger Reverso Tribute Chronograph. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And head over to wristenthusiast.com to check out any of our written reviews, watch news, and watch buying guides. I'm Craig Carger, and thanks for watching.